On today's Join Us in France, a conversation with Pierre of FrenchMoments.fr on Christmas in Paris, and also the difference between Christmas in the northeast of France and the rest of the country. If this podcast is helpful to you and you'd like to show us your support, make your Amazon purchases through Join Us. It doesn't cost you a penny more, and we make a small commission. Go to joinusinfrance.com/support or click on the picture on the left-hand side of the website. Right now it's a Père Noël because of the holidays, but I'll change the photo just to keep it interesting. Merci beaucoup! This is Join Us in France, episode 95. Hello, I'm Annie, and Join Us in France is a show about all things French. Today I get some help from Pierre of FrenchMoments.fr, who is a tour guide and French teacher in Paris, and who joins me to talk about the wonderful French Christmas traditions that we have, and also gives us some good tips as to what to see in Paris at Christmas time, and the differences between Christmas in the northeast of France and the rest of the country. I think you're gonna love it. Today, shout outs to those of you who have taken the time to write iTunes reviews for the show. It really helps us get some more visibility in iTunes. You can also leave us a review on Stitcher Radio, and we don't have very many on Stitcher. Probably not many of you listen to the show on Stitcher. But if you look at your phone that you're listening to the show on right now, you will find a link right there where you can leave us a review. So you click on that, it'll take you to iTunes, and you can write a review. That would be awesome. I would love more. Let me read you the last four. Let's see. Mandy Derb gives us a 5-star review, says, my husband and I use this podcast to help us in the planning of our recent trip to Paris. It was incredibly helpful. It was nearly the only resource we used and felt better prepared than any of our other trips. Even now that we've left, we're still listening out of pure enjoyment and continued learning. Thank you, Annie and Elise. Thank you for leaving us a review, Mandy Derb. Emmy's Wit. Some of these names, I don't know how to read them. I'm French, forgive me. She says, 5 stars also, gem of podcast. I just moved to Paris a couple of weeks ago. Ooh, a new French person. And I will be there for the next 10 months and cannot explain how happy I am to have found this podcast. Super informative and entertaining. I am planning all my free time exploring around different episodes. I highly recommend this podcast. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good time in France. Let's see. Paris trip prep, 5 stars from Etsy. Great listening prior to my trip. So informative. Thank you. Another short one. 5 stars also from Omsrod. He says, or she, don't know. I really look forward to these weekly podcasts. They help me prepare for an amazing week in Paris. Great advice on where to go, what to possibly skip, history and culture. Thank you so much, all of you. There are many more. I can't read them all. I have like 67 or something. But really, the more we get, the more attention we're going to get in the iTunes stores. So please take a moment to leave us a review today. And if you like this episode, I think you will also like listening to episode 45, Christmas Markets in France. Yes, that was a good one too. That one was last year with Elise. And before we get started with today's episode, I want to remind you that I'd love for you to join the mailing list. To do that, you go to joinusinfrance.com/95, and you'll see a subscribe to the mailing list button. You will also see a green button on the left side of the site or a yellow bar on the very top of the site. I send out little extras to people who join the mailing list, and this week you'll be getting a list of my favorite Christmas songs in French. I have a thing for Christmas songs. I start singing Christmas songs in November. So I know a lot of them and I love a lot of them, and especially the ones in French that are done by very good choirs who can actually pronounce French, which is a big plus for me. All right, here's Pierre. Hello, Pierre, and thank you for coming to talk to us on Join Us in France.
Hello, Annie. Thank you for having me.
Very nice to talk to you. Now, Pierre and I don't know each other. We just met online because I was looking for good information on Christmas markets, and I found one of his articles, and he has a very nice website. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So my website is called The French Moments, so you can find it on frenchmoments.eu, and it has lots of hundreds of cultural articles that I write about France. It's a blog as well and photos. So it's really was born of a heartfelt love for France, which comes in all my tours and my lessons in my blog. So it's really this. I'm French, by the way, as you can probably tell by my
Yes.
and also have gained the Australian citizenship a few years ago.
Oh, you're an Aussie. Nice.
Yes, as well, but I don't have the accent.
Not yet. Give it a few years.
Yeah. And so it's, I mean, I always have had a love for France, for this country. I'm very glad. I'm very honored to be back in France. I mean, I've been living in Sydney for a long time, and now I just moved back to France in August 2014. And it's like, sometimes it's like a dream coming true in a way that it's you discover a lot of things about your country, and everything looks new. And so it's so I try as well to put this on the website, with photos. I go in lots of places around Paris, in the Paris region, to take photographs and upload them on Instagram or on the blog or on the website. So it's fascinating.
Oh, very good. And your Instagram account is French Moments.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Just like your blog.
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to follow you now because your photos look interesting. And everybody, if you want to see some of his photos, I'll put them on joinusinfrance.com/95. So you'll be able to see a bunch of those. They look very good. So this is something we have in common. We're both French, born and raised, lived abroad, and then came back. And that's quite the experience when you come back. How old were you when you left to begin with?
I was in my in 25, 26.
Okay, almost exactly like me. I mean, I left at 21, came back at 23, and then left again at 24. So yeah, very similar. And then I didn't come back until my 40s.
All right. Okay. Well, you are similar to me, and I lived also 8 years in Germany, but during my childhood. So it's.
Oh, you're quite the international man.
Yeah, kind of. Eh?
And now you live in Paris.
And now I live in the suburbs of Paris called Maison Lafitte. So it's a beautiful suburbs, very leafy, lots of trees, and it has a chateau and a big park, and it's only 20 minutes away from Paris by train. And it's a great place to live when you have children and you don't want the hustle bustle of Paris.
Yeah.
And we're very happy with the place we live in. With lots of expats are choosing Maison Lafitte, Saint-Germain-en-Laye, this corner of the Yvelines department, because it's a nice place to live.
And you have access via RER.
RER, Transilien, it's very easy.
So that's good. Yeah, very good. All right, so I invited you to come on the show so we could talk about Christmas markets in Paris, but also in the northeast of France, and the differences and some of the things that you recommend our listeners consider before they come, visit. But also, before we get to that, we have to point out that you offer tours.
Yes.
Right. So tell us a little bit about your tours.
Yeah, so we when I was in Sydney, I had my own language center called French Moments in the suburbs of Mossman. And when we came back to Paris, I thought, let's do something in relation of what I was doing in Sydney, but something a bit different. And I thought, Paris is a great city to discover, and I know there are lots of Aussies and also American friends and English friends who would love to discover this Paris,
of course,
in a personal way. So you can find all the information on pariswalkingtours.fr, and there I've got 6 preset walks to offer. Yeah. And what I do is they're very personalized. So it's not this big tour with dozens of people in the group. It's 1, 2, or 3 people. And we discover, for example, the Marais or Montmartre or the banks of the Seine, and we just go and see some places that are that are kind of that they're not. Group won't take you there all the time or always. So it's discover those picture postcards, places of Paris, and you think, well, where did this person took the photo of that thing? It looks so Parisian, a lovely Parisian scene, and we go there and we explore that. So
that's very nice. That's very nice. Yeah, it's much better doing it that way than being in a group of 50. I mean, I kid you not, when you walk around Paris, you see those huge groups. And I don't know how anybody gets anything out of those tours, but it doesn't appeal to me. I think if you have, a maximum of 8 maybe, then you can have one-to-one conversations with people at various times, and they can all hear you, and they can all see you, and you don't get lost, and all of it. Yeah, it's a really good way to do it. So
and it's in a friendly way as well. So it's. Yeah, to just experience Paris in a friendly in a fun way.
Right. So I'll put a link to those tours. So if you want to hire Pierre, that would be probably a very good idea.
Thank you.
And you also teach French, right?
Yes, I do teach French. So that's what I was doing in Australia. I've been teaching French for, I think, 13 years, and to adults and children as well. And so what we do now is we go to if you have cafe nearby, or in your flat if you're renting an apartment in Paris, then I would come to you and we'll do some French, learn French, and often we'll go out in the streets, and it's a great way to experience France and the French language.
That's wonderful. See, that's another thing that you might want to do when you come to France. If you want to take a few hours of lessons with Pierre, walk around Paris, do it in French. Sounds good.
Yeah. Great.
Sounds really good. Okay, let's get to the Christmas market, shall we?
Yeah. All right. So Christmas. Where do we start? In Paris?
Sure. Yes, Paris.
Yeah, Paris. Well, Paris, it has the title, we call it the City of Light, and I think it really deserves this title at Christmas time, because there are so many sights to discover there, from Notre Dame, the Champs-Élysées, the lights of the Grand Magasin and Boulevard Haussmann, and there are lots of Christmas markets, but the lights, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, when you are a photographer and you want to take night views of Paris, you have to wait for December, because this is the best time. I mean, night comes at 5 p.m., around 5 p.m., so it's great.
Yeah, you don't have to stay out till 11.
Yeah. No, we've got cold. I mean, at the moment it's okay. I mean, it's not too cold, but it's great. I mean, you've got extra lights with the Christmas illuminations, the Ferris wheels, etc., etc. So it's a great time to.
Well, yeah, very nice. So, which markets do you like to take people to?
Well,
or do you like to visit for yourself? As a matter of fact.
Well, yeah. Well, the first would be the Champs-Élysées, because the Champs-Élysées, the market at the Champs-Élysées is arguably the largest in Paris. Has hundreds of chalets, which are the little stores made of wood, and it runs from Place de la Concorde to Rond-Point des Champs-Élysées, next to the Metro Franklin Roosevelt.
Yeah.
So it's a big Christmas market. It actually looks like a fun fair because the organizer of the Christmas market is Marcel Campion, and Marcel Campion is sort of businessman. Well, it's not the sort, but he's a businessman in organizing fun fairs in France, a big fun fair. So he's you can have rides over there. There is a ice skating rink as well, and so it should be called not the Christmas market, but the Christmas fun fair of the Champs-Élysées. That's great for kids.
It's great for kids, and also it's good that the Champs-Élysées finally have something that is not so upper scale, because usually Champs-Élysées means upper scale to the point where regular people don't go that much.
Yes.
It attracts mostly foreign visitors most of the year.
Yeah, and at the moment, I mean, I've been there twice in the Champs-Élysées lately, and it's true that I can hear a lot of French-speaking people around me more than foreigners. It might be, well, maybe we'll talk about that later. It might be because of the consequences of the Paris attacks. But it's true that it's, I mean, I was there as well at 5, 6 p.m., so it's the time when French people leave the work and they usually converge towards the Christmas markets for a mulled wine or waffle or crepe or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's great for the lights. I mean, we'll talk about Alsace later, so it has nothing to in comparison of Alsace with the authenticity of the market. But if you like lights and Christmas lights and kind of a fun and atmosphere, I mean, you have to go to the Champs-Élysées, and I like it because they put some the music. They have music as well, and all the time I could listen to Frank Sinatra, all the crooners, the American crooners on the speakers. So it's it's definitely something to see, the Champs-Élysées.
Very good. And how much time would you spend there? Like if you want to walk all the way up and down?
I would say more than an hour, maybe an hour to 2 hours. I mean, if you add to that the Ferris wheel on Place de la Concorde, and a ride on the Ferris wheel, it would take you a lot of time. Well, my advice would be, if you want to go on the Ferris wheel, Place de la Concorde, maybe go around 5 p.m., 5:15 p.m. when it's what we call the blue hour. So it's not pitch dark, but it's kind of in between, and it's probably when it's most beautiful, because you can still see a bit of the buildings in the distance, and it's
it's a good time to take pictures too. I mean, best night for pictures is first thing sunrise and then the sunset. Typically. And the sunset,
yes. On the Ferris wheel, it will be hard for a good photographer to take some beautiful pictures because it's always moving. But with your smartphone, it's okay.
Either that or a really fast lens.
Yeah.
That's cool. So do they also offer regional foods at those Christmas markets?
Well, yes, they do. I don't recall that they did 2 or 3 years ago when I visited the Champs-Élysées market back then. But now, yes, they do. They've got a sort of a courtyard in the Champs-Élysées. So it's just at the back of the Champs-Élysées, and they've got a small courtyard with more chalets, and it's they serve food from the Alps, from the French Alps. I think cassoulet.
Yeah, so they're gonna do tartiflette, cassoulet, that sort of thing. Yeah. So those are really, I mean, that's the one thing that attracts me to the Christmas markets, is you can have a nice, inexpensive meal, and of course you're eating it walking around. It's not fancy, but you get to taste foods from different regions of France. So I think that's very fun to do.
Yeah, it is. And then one thing I noticed in the Champs-Élysées, because before, I mean, the first time I visited the Champs-Élysées, the Christmas market there, I felt, I was, being in Alsace, I mean, I have lived in Alsace for 10 years, so I was a bit, unsure whether it was a good or a bad idea.
Blasé.
But now, I mean, the idea is growing on me. I mean, it's, I just noticed that now they put signs like "Made in France," items made in France, because before we would say, I mean, I don't know if it was true or if it was a rumor, but we would say that all the items are made in China, so I mean, it's not a real Christmas market because it's not authentic, etc. But now they put the little notes on "Made in France," "Made in France."
This is actually a good thing, because Toulouse also has a average size Christmas market on a big plaza, the Central Plaza, and it fills it up, but it's not anywhere near, like, they probably have maybe 150 exhibitors. Yeah. But the first year they did it, it was nothing but, the little toy cars from China, and it was all like stuff you could find anywhere else. It wasn't interesting.
Yeah.
And now it's more artisanal, more Etsy-like, the kind of things that you would buy on Etsy. So you have people selling miniatures and people selling all sorts of different things that are really cool and unique.
Yeah, and I saw some Christmas decorations to put on a Christmas tree on the Champs-Élysées. So that was, I mean, I've never seen that before. Maybe I didn't look well, but that's the first time I saw that. So I was really, okay, that's quite good. Yeah. So that's the Champs-Élysées. And then you've got another one. I'm not sure if I would say go there, you have to go there, but it's the La Défense Christmas market. I mean, we have to talk about it because it's probably the biggest or the largest Christmas market in the Paris region. Mm-hmm. And it's quite, I would say, out of place. I mean, it has been set up in the big esplanade in front of the Grande Arche de la Défense.
Yeah, it's surrounded by business buildings.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, you've got this little wooden chalet, and it's. I mean, it adds to the magic of the place, I would say, at nighttime. But like every Christmas market, I mean, you have to discover them, if possible, at nighttime. I mean, after 5 p.m. when it starts to be a bit more interesting with the lights.
Yeah.
I mean, Christmas market in the daytime is not really the same. I mean, it doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
But La Défense is the biggest, the largest. I haven't been there yet for the 2015 edition. I have to go there soon. But it's, there you will find, I mean, it's, people from the office will go down during their break and have mulled wine or coffee or waffle or crepe and have their break there.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. I mean, I went to La Défense a few times for work and I can't picture a Christmas market I can picture it, but it would be very strange. But it's true that if I worked in those offices, well, I'd go have my lunch there because it's fun.
Yeah. So it's, why not? Not?
So it's big in terms of the number of exhibitors.
Exhibitors, yes. Yeah. I can't remember exactly. I mean, I read 200 or 300. I probably have the exact number of chalet on my website. Mm-hmm. But it's one of the biggest.
Yeah. Mm. And there are much smaller ones. Do you want to tell us about a couple of those?
Yeah, so there are a couple of small Christmas markets, like the one in Notre Dame. So it doesn't take place on the Parvis or the forecourt of Notre Dame Cathedral, because there you will have the Christmas tree of Notre Dame on the Parvis. Mm-hmm. So you have to cross River Seine to go on the left bank, and then you've got a little square. It's called Square Viviani, and then you've got a small Christmas market that sells local produce. So I haven't been there yet. Because it's not open. So it will open later on in December, probably around the 15th of December.
Okay.
So it's an interesting little Christmas market, but it's small. It's rather small.
Okay.
You've got other Christmas markets as well on the squares of the railway stations, like Saint-Lazare, Gare de Lyon, very, very small in Gare de Lyon. And also in Gare de l'Est, they've got an interesting one because Gare de l'Est, it's the trains connect Paris to the Alsace and Lorraine region.
Yes.
So on the square of Gare de l'Est, you've got a small Christmas market under a tent. And it's an Alsatian Christmas market. So people from Alsace will come to Paris and sell their local produce. So you will find Alsatian wine, and produce, let's say, kouglof and pastries and pretzels. Foie gras from Strasbourg, etc. So it's real produce from Alsace. So it's not. I've been there. It's really fun. It's fun also to talk to people from Alsace, and they're very happy to tell about the local produce and how they do that in Alsace.
Yeah, sacrilege, foie gras from Strasbourg. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
I know. They say that's where it originated.
Yes, it is. Yeah, apparently yes.
I don't think I believe him.
No.
I'm from Toulouse. I don't believe that. Anyway.
So there are other Christmas markets. I mean, there is one that's quite fun for photographers. Is the one next to the Eiffel Tower. There used to be one on the Trocadero, but they're working on the Trocadero at the moment. There are some works down there, so it's I don't think there will be one to this year. But there is one in Quai Branly, so it's just at the foot of the Eiffel Tower, and it then extends onto the Champ de Mars, and there should be an ice skating ring later on there. So that's quite fun. I mean, it's very touristy. I mean, it's a very touristy.
Oh well, yeah.
Just visiting Paris, it's okay.
Yeah, if you're visiting Paris and you're going to go see the Eiffel Tower anyway, you might as well stop at the Christmas market on the Quai Branly. That sounds good. Yeah. What else is there fun to do in Paris at Christmas time?
Yeah, well, there is a lot of things. First, I mentioned the Christmas tree on Notre Dame, Notre Dame, and it's true that it's every year at Christmas time there is a tree there, and it's over 20 meters tall.
Wow.
So it's put up in front of Notre Dame, and it symbolizes the light of God. So it echoes the one in St. Peter's Square in Rome. And the last year's Christmas tree was offered by Russia, and I have no information about this year, so we'll have to wait a little bit more, and it should be set up very soon.
Okay, so it's not there yet.
It's not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but this is a natural tree.
It's a natural tree. Yeah. Yeah. It's a real one.
Very good.
One you will find in Strasbourg or in other places. So it's a good tree. Then you've got also the Christmas window displays at the Grand Magasin of Haussmann.
Of course.
That's a must to see.
Mostly they're on Boulevard Haussmann, right?
Yes, Boulevard Haussmann. So, I mean, you've got Printemps and Galerie Lafayette, and they compete with each other for the best Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
And so they've got so they're side by side on the Boulevard Haussmann. So it's when you go there, you can do both of them. It's easy.
What's the nearest metro stop?
That would be Havre-Comartin or
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
Havre-Comartin.
Okay.
Long. Right. Or Lafayette, but it's or Gare Saint-Lazare. I mean, you could go to Gare Saint-Lazare, you can walk down, or Aubert on the RERA. So it's very easy to get there.
Yeah.
So it's so for example, this year I went there. So the Printemps, it has a displayed theme on a Christmas tale from 1911. And they're celebrating their 115th Christmas at Printemps.
Wow.
And I really like the Christmas display of Printemps. It's probably my favorite in all Paris. It's elegant. It's this kind of a Parisian chic attached to it. So it's I mean, even last year it was beautiful. So we went there with my little daughter. So it was quite fun. And then next to it, you've got Galerie Lafayette. And Galerie Lafayette is always a bit edgy. Last year they had a Noël Monstre, which is a monster or a monster Christmas. With lots of little monsters everywhere. And then today, this year, they have a thing called Christmas from Another Planet. So it's robots, about robots, space. I mean, it's linked with Star Wars as well. So here you go. So it's they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's a cosmic theme. It portrays an unconventional cast of characters and with small robots, and it's quite fun, but it's not my favorite. I mean, my favorite would be the Printemps, but we show my little girl both of them.
Yeah.
She liked more the Galerie Lafayette one, probably.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, but it was a bit okay. Well,
she votes for the edgy one. You have an edgy daughter.
Yeah,
that's good.
But one thing you have to see, I mean, if you don't have to see the window display of Galerie Lafayette, you have to go inside and check on the dome. And there is a dome, an Art Nouveau dome on the Galerie Lafayette, which is amazing. And always it's tradition in the Galerie Lafayette at Christmas. They set up a giant Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So you have to go there and go inside and see the Christmas tree.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I put a picture of this year's Christmas tree on episode 94. It's beautiful. It's just this gold kind of. It's really nice. Is that also a real tree or is that a fake?
Oh, it's a fake tree.
Okay, it's gotta be.
It has to be a fake tree. The tree, last year's tree was an upside down tree, so it was quite funny.
They are edgy.
They're very edgy, yeah, and I think that's the mark, the trademark. So it's why not?
No, yeah, it's good. I like that. It's artistic and innovative.
Yes.
So, what are some other things you like to do in Paris for Christmas?
I think that just look at the Christmas lights. Because you have to say that the municipality of Paris, they owns more than 120 streets with elegant Christmas lights. So it's quite a big thing. So you have, obviously, we mentioned the Champs-Élysées, but you've got also Rue de Rennes, which is close to between Saint-Germain-des-Prés and Montparnasse. Rue de Rivoli between Place de la Concorde and the City Hall of Paris. Avenue Montaigne as well. So Avenue Montaigne is a street that starts from the Champs-Élysées and then reaches Place Alma. So you've got a lot of places to discover in Paris with Christmas lights. So that's I like just walk on across the city and discover a few things along the way, and sometimes they're real surprises.
Of course, all of those are better to do in the evening. So
yes,
if you're only spending a couple of nights in Paris, you have to decide which one you would like to do, obviously, because you won't have time for all.
Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, so I would say maybe do all the museums or the monuments during the day, and then with the evening just do all sorts of outdoor activities at Christmas markets and lights and walk in the city. That's it's a fantastic thing. I mean, it's a beautiful place to visit.
What's the weather been like this year in Paris?
It's actually very, I wouldn't say warm, but it's not cold at all, which is surprising. Yesterday was probably they said it was like being in spring.
Wow.
So, and we're hosting the COP21,
the COP21, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of bizarre. I mean, you think that you don't feel Christmas, is around the corner because it's not cold enough.
Yeah, no rain. I mean, rain maybe, but no.
No, not much rain as well. So it's a little bit, but it's been okay. I mean, there's still some yellow leaves on the trees, so it's winter has not come yet.
Not yet, huh? Wow. Okay. So this was all Paris, and it sounds like you can have a fabulous time at Christmas in Paris. But when we were discussing before, you told me, well, that's not the real thing. The real thing is in the northeast.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the northeast of France, I would say Alsace, definitely, and then a bit of Lorraine and Franche-Comté, the north of Franche-Comté. So that's the northeast of France is, especially Alsace has a more Germanic influence. I mean, Alsace was part of the Holy Roman Germanic Empire in the Middle Ages. So it's, I'm not saying that Alsace was German. To be very
please don't say that.
It has definitely a German influence or a Germanic influence.
You can't miss the Germanic influence in Alsace, obviously.
Yeah. It's that's probably one of the reasons why it's a beautiful region to visit. I mean, with the Haftenbad houses and the local gastronomy. I mean, it's I sometimes don't understand why there aren't so more tourists or visitors into this region, because it's beautiful.
But it's out of the way. That's always the problem. It's like the Southwest. Some people come, but most people they go to Paris and then they go to London and then they go home. A lot of them,
or maybe Provence.
That's true. That's true.
But it's worthwhile. I mean, Alsace. I read something on an article that says that Strasbourg in December hosts more visitors than Paris. So there are more people staying in hotels than in Paris in December in Strasbourg.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, Christmas markets, they find their origins in Alsace. The oldest Christmas market in France and arguably in Europe is that of Strasbourg, which dates back to 1570. So that's a long time ago. And that was it was taking place on the Place de la Cathédrale, so the Cathedral Square. It was called back then the Saint Nicholas market. And so it's I mean, in Alsace, you will find the authenticity of Christmas markets. I mean, it's you'll have the real. I wouldn't say real, but I would say the products or the items that would be sold in a Christmas market in Strasbourg and in Alsace would be artisanal.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be, they shouldn't be made in China products or style products. They should be Alsatian products or French products or artisanal products.
Right, which means that they're going to be a little bit more expensive because they're not mass produced, and probably this person is working on it all year.
Maybe.
So they can't sell it for €2. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But it's a good. I mean, I think that's a really very nice touch when you can go to a market and it's local people doing the work. I love to see the local creativity and what they can come up with.
Yeah, and sometimes you just walk in a Christmas market and then find someone in a chalet, inside a chalet, a painter. She would, or he would paint, while inside and still painting the paintings. And it's you know that you're faced with someone authentic. You're faced with a skill, and it's very. I mean, it adds to the atmosphere of the Christmas market. It adds to this kind of authenticity. And there is one thing as well I have to say. It's before you would find Christmas markets only in Alsace, and not everywhere in Alsace. You would have Strasbourg, you have Colmar, and maybe one or two others. Mm-hmm. But today, in 2015, Christmas markets are everywhere in France and in Europe. And you'll find Christmas markets in Paris, as we said, but in Nantes, you'll have in Amiens, Rouen, Toulouse, Bordeaux, everywhere.
Yep.
Well, the problem is, if you have a Christmas market at your doorstep, why would you go to Alsace? So the Alsace region has to think about what can we do to make our Christmas markets more authentic and different from the others. And I think they find a way. I mean, it's the authenticity, the fact that they've got a charter. So when people want when they're organizing a Christmas market, they're checking on people's items, so that it's the real producers or the real artists behind them. So
they have a quality charter that they stick to. Yeah.
Strasbourg as well. And Strasbourg is probably the biggest Christmas market in France, and they've got a charter for that. So it's interesting. And also the decoration. I mean, the Germanic people and in Alsace, they've got they've got something about Christmas decoration. They know how to decorate it very well. It's very cute. It's very Christmassy. I mean, you can find yourself in a winter wonderland or in Disneyland or somewhere, but it's really, really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes that's what's missing in other Christmas markets in the rest of France.
Yeah, the magic. That's the little extra that gives it the magic. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I've never visited Alsace at that time of year, but I would love to. That sounds really good. But probably if the hotels are that busy, you probably need to book far in advance.
Yes, definitely, far in advance.
And this year, because of the terrorist attacks in November, they had considered maybe canceling it, but then they didn't.
Yeah, so they considered it. I mean, for a whole week, it was in between what do we do and then cancel it or not. I mean, it's the responsibility of the préfet, of the prefect, and the mayor of Strasbourg can also talk to the préfet, but it's the préfet who has the final decision to take. And I would say, fortunately, they decided to open the Christmas market. But what they canceled was the big show, the inaugural show that they usually do at the beginning of the Christmas market.
So they canceled that.
Yes, so it's a big show with artists and singers and musicians, and it's and they had to cancel that. Yeah,
I know that Lyon has a big lights festival every year in early December, and they canceled that.
Yes, they did.
So but when they did something but much smaller, they did one evening, I think, that was much smaller, and so that. I've also heard that the Strasbourg Christmas market this year has massive security.
Yeah,
I haven't been, so I don't know, but
Yeah, well, you can see that even in Paris. I mean, you walk along the Champs-Élysées. I mean, you feel you're surrounded by the police and the soldiers, and it's a very good thing. I mean, you feel a bit more secure.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, it's well, personally, I think it's a good thing to see them.
Yeah. Well, not to mention all the plainclothes police presence. The Champs-Élysées, apparently, I heard one of the shop owners on the Champs-Élysées complained that for a while, early November, they didn't have any customers. All they had is plainclothes police people.
Yes.
Walking around the Champs-Élysées. And it's not very good for business. They're not there to buy anything.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I'm not sure I haven't been to Strasbourg this year, so I'm not sure if whether they have a lot of visitors there. But I mean, it will come. I mean, it's Paris attacks have been has been a big shock for the French population. But then, I mean, life will go on, and then, I mean, by the time Christmas is near, I mean, people will go out again and buy presents and food, and definitely so. But I mean, the Paris attacks, they had because we proclaimed, or the president proclaimed a state of emergency.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, the Festival of Lights. The Festival of Lights in Lyon was cancelled. We had also the inauguration of the Christmas lights on the Champs-Élysées with Jean Dujardin was cancelled as well. And also the Saint-Nicolas festivities in Nancy in Lorraine, which is a big thing. I mean, it's one of the biggest events in the northeast of France, which should have been taken place last weekend on the 5th and the 6th of December. It attracts more than 100,000 people on the Place Stanislas. Has been cancelled, so it's
that's sad because that's such a beautiful plaza. That's just a beautiful place.
And it's amazing. I mean, with Saint Nicolas festivities, you've got the fireworks, you've got I mean, it's beautiful. But the Christmas market in Strasbourg was not cancelled, and I checked on my on the net, and the Strasbourg Christmas market has been cancelled on just very few occasions in 1918, and 1939.
So those years again?
So 1914, 1918. And 1939.
Oh, well, World Wars, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, from 15, when we said it was open in 1570, for all that time, 445 years or so, has been cancelled just 3 times.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's not an event you want to cancel. Honestly, that would just be giving in to the fear, and we just can't go quite that far.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's great.
So in Alsace, I mean, we mentioned Strasbourg, but it would be fair also to mention other Christmas markets, which are some of my favorites, like Colmar. There's also Kaisersberg in the Alsace Winewood, with Egisheim as well. Egisheim was voted as one of France's most beautiful villages. Mulhouse as well, which is quite interesting because it's an industrial town in the south of Alsace.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Christmas market is amazing over there in Mulhouse. I really recommend visiting the Christmas market of Mulhouse. It will take just a few hours. And also Montbéliard. So Montbéliard is in the Franche-Comté region, so it's not far from Alsace. It's to the north of Franche-Comté. I think less than 50 kilometers from Mulhouse, so it's not far at all. And it's one of the most beautiful Christmas markets in France.
So how would you do this? Like, if you wanted to spend a week visiting Christmas markets in the Northeast, how much time would you spend in Strasbourg? How would you get around? That sort of logistics. Yeah.
Well, the good thing would be to be based somewhere central and to have a car. And just, a car, or go by train as well. Sometimes you can do that too. And just visit the Christmas market. Strasbourg is a bit too far north. So unless what people can do is spend 1 or 2 nights in Strasbourg and then move down south to Alsace, like say Mulhouse, for example, would be a good base. And from Mulhouse or Colmar, you can reach the other Christmas markets like Kaisersberg, Egisheim, and Montbéliard. And stay, for example, a week. A week would be quite good, actually, because you can see, I mean, there's so many more Christmas markets to discover. That it's yeah.
And so, are they that different, or is it the case that once you've seen one, it's kind of the same feel in all of them?
It's true. I mean, it's true. I have to admit that I did that in 2012. I mean, I spent Christmas in Alsace. The whole month of November and December, and I did most of the Christmas markets in Alsace. And it's true that I've been, after, visiting 3 or 4 of them, you feel like, well, it's always the same thing. I mean, always the same produce, pretzels, of sauerkraut, of bredela, which are the small Alsatian cookies, mulled wine. So, yes, definitely, you see the same produce, the same items, on and on. But, I mean, if
you love it, that's not a problem.
No, but if you come from overseas, like say the Americas or Australia or England, wherever, or even France or south of France or Paris, one thing you have to know is you just don't go there to see a Christmas market, but you go there as well to see the town or the village, to visit the town or the village, and all the half-timbered houses, the monuments, the chateaus and the castles, and etc. So that's the whole thing, it's the whole. So it's not just the Christmas markets. It's also how the Alsatian people, they enhance their towns or their villages at Christmas time. Yeah. And that's why it's very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Do they have a tradition of choirs? Because that's one thing that I miss being in France, is at Christmas time. I come from a musical family, and at Christmas time, there's so many choirs and concerts that you can go see, and it's always Christmas music.
Yes.
And in south of France, it's pretty pathetic. We don't have that much going on as far as concerts and Christmas kind of thing. So is it different in Alsace?
Yes, it's pretty different because you've got concerts everywhere. I mean, in churches and or convention halls or even outdoor concerts. So it's Alsace is very to that. So you will find a lot of musical events.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, definitely.
I think next year we should be spending Christmas in France, and I need to go there. I need to go up there and see it for myself. It's not that far, right? I mean,
no, it's not that far. I mean, the good thing, I mean, it's I've done it in 2012, and it's true that sometimes where it was raining, but I remember one day it was raining in Colmar, so I was visiting Christmas market of Colmar. It was raining, but it's still magical. I mean, it still doesn't matter because it's when you visit the Christmas markets, or usually at night time, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, you bundle up and. Yeah, okay.
It's just what you do during the day, because I have to say that a Christmas market, even in Alsace, when it's daytime, it doesn't look so appealing as at nighttime. So
during the day, plan other activities. Go see the local museums. Go visit the towns. Do something else, and you'll see some decorations and all that.
Yes.
As well along the way, but then save your Christmas market time for after 5 p.m.
Yeah. So that's something you can do. I forgot to mention as well Celesta. It wouldn't be fair to forget Celesta. Celesta is a town between Colmar and Strasbourg, and they've got also a Christmas market there. But Celesta is a very interesting town in Alsace because it's where the Christmas tree first appeared.
Ooh.
In 1521, to be exact. Mm-hmm. And it was in this town that I think I have the date now. So the 21st of December, 1521, a Christmas tree was mentioned for the first time in history. And you can find that on the records of the city at the Humanist Library. It contained a mention of the tree on page 239 in reference to 4 shillings, which were given to the forest rangers to watch over the tree on Christmas Day. In fact, because the problem was that the people were going in the forest and cut the trees and bring them back into town, into the homes to decorate the trees.
Yeah.
And so the problem was that the forest was,
missing a lot of trees.
Yeah. And so they put this on records. And so then you would have to pay 4 shillings for the tree. And so that was the first mention or written mention of a decorated Christmas tree in the whole world.
Oh, very nice.
The town of Celestin.
Celestin.
Yeah.
I had never heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not really. You have to remember that Alsace back then was a Catholic country. Mm-hmm. It was just before the Reformation. Actually, it was 1521, mm-hmm. and it was because of the Reformation that the tradition was boosted. Because the Reformation leaders, they refused to use the nativity scene during Christmas. Because that was, a Catholic a tradition depicting Jesus and as a biblical character, and usually the Protestant people would not have statues in the church, so hence they wouldn't have a nativity scene at home. So the Christmas tree was a very good idea, and Martin Luther suggested that the Christmas tree could be a symbol of the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. So it became like it was spread. The tradition was spread throughout Germany. Germany, the parts of Germany was converted to Protestantism. Mm-hmm. And it's only much later that you find the first Christmas tree in Versailles, which was brought by Marie Antoinette from Austria. So in the 19th century.
Wow.
And back then, Alsace was part of France and has been part of France since the 1648. So it's amazing to see how history is linked with the Christmas traditions, and it's just amazing.
I wonder how they used to decorate the Christmas trees in the 1500s.
Well, I have notes. Yeah, I have researched that. So they were covered in red apples and lights, which symbolize the venue of Christ, because Christ is the light that illuminates the world. Mm-hmm. And they prefer to choose a fir tree because they do not lose their leaves during winter. Mm-hmm. So that's also the symbol of hope and eternal life. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that the Christmas tree was hung from the ceiling before. So that's how we did it. And if you go to Celestin in the church of Celestin, they have Christmas trees hang in the naves. In the nave.
No, upside down, right? So you...
Not upside down, but
okay.
Hung from... Not upside down, just hung from the ceiling.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so they decorated them with apples and red things. So yes. the green and red thing that's so traditional in the English world, the Anglo world. Mm-hmm. Which you don't necessarily see in France anymore. I remember one year we flew into, this is when I lived in the US, we fly into Paris, and the airport in Paris was beautifully decorated, but it was all silver and blue.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wrong colors, but otherwise beautiful, but wrong colors.
Yeah. Now in Alsace, they're much more traditional. That AG, so you'll see that definitely in Alsace. It's red and green and gold. Mm-hmm.
And so do they have different Christmas traditions, than the rest of France, for instance?
Yes, they've got. It's yes and no. It's maybe the major difference would be who distributes the gifts at Christmas time.
Yes, this is a big deal. Yes.
Yeah, and so we can talk about Santa Claus, obviously. It's Le Père Noël, as we know it in France, but it's. Sure. Le Père Noël is not an old man in France. It's quite recent. In Alsace, for all the Catholic parts of Alsace, because there were also Protestant parts in Alsace, but for all the Catholic parts of Alsace, the bringer of the gifts is Saint Nicolas. So Saint Nicholas. Saint Nick,
yes.
Yeah. So he's the one who distributes presents to the kids. So in Alsace, but also in Lorraine and in the north end of France, the Flanders. And also you can see Saint Nicolas or Saint Nicholas in Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Austria, Switzerland. So it's quite a very important character for these countries.
So how is Saint Nick dressed?
Yeah, so he's not at all looking like Father Christmas, because first he's not fat, he's tall and thin. So he's a tall, thin man. He's got a long white beard. And
Yeah.
he's a bishop, so he's all dressed up in silk garments. He carries a bishop's signature. He holds a crozier. So he's really, he's more majestic in the appearance than Father Christmas.
And so the Saint Nick is the Catholic tradition or in the Protestant tradition?
That would be the Catholic tradition.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the Protestant at all. The Protestant would have the Christmas tree, but Saint Nicholas is definitely the Catholic tradition.
Okay.
Yeah. So he would be accompanied by a grey donkey carrying baskets filled with biscuits, sweets, gifts, etc.
A grey donkey. Very
A grey
nice.
donkey.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually you leave before he comes. You will leave a glass of milk. Or a carrot for the donkey.
A carrot for the donkey. Oh, that's cute.
Oh, yeah. And he would come on the 6th of December. So that's...
yes.
Missed it. Missed him. So,
Yeah.
6th of December, which is St. Nicholas Day. So the funny thing is, it was the Dutch. When the Dutch migrated to the United States in the 19th century, they took with them the traditions of Saint Nicolas. They called it Santa Claus. It gradually evolved into Santa Claus. So I'm not going to tell the whole story on the American side because it's with Coca-Cola and all that. I'm sure that a lot of listeners will know that.
Yeah.
But what would be interesting is to see how Father Christmas, or Santa as we know it today, was introduced in France. And in fact, he was introduced along with the liberators after the Second World War. That means the Americans. And you have to remember that after the war, the prestige of the American lifestyle was great in France.
Of course.
The French were just fascinated by the country of the liberators, and they embraced popular American icons. Like we hear there and then the Coca-Cola and chewing gums and
yeah, chewing gum. Yeah. French people never had chewing gum before the Americans came in the Second World War. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Santa, and in December 1951. The French media reported a very particular event which caused a great scandal across France. That's very interesting. The religious authorities of the city of Dijon in Burgundy decided to crusade against Santa and set fire to an effigy in the cathedral square in front of children and adults.
No way.
1951. You have to understand a little bit. I mean, it was their way of protesting against the character of Santa, because Santa was considered to be a usurper and a heretic.
Heretic, of course.
Paganizing Christmas, because before, who was bringing the gifts and the presents at Christmas? It was Santa Claus or Saint Nicolas in the northeast of France, but it was the rest of France. It was baby Jesus. So it was a great offense for the Catholic Church, because Santa was being introduced in public schools back then.
Yeah.
Activities had previously been banned. So they say, well, it's not very fair. So that's why they say, well, he's a heretic. It's a pagan
symbol.
So let's burn him. So, and the fact that they did that, the French media covered the event so much that all of France knew about it, and it helped Santa Claus to be introduced for real and for good in France.
It didn't work, huh?
Well, I shouldn't have done anything.
So this was 1950?
1951.
1951, wow. That's crazy. Yeah, because growing up, we had Père Noël. I mean, I'm from the south of France, and we definitely did Christmas not on the 6th of December, but on the 25th.
Yes.
And it was Père Noël. And Père Noël wore red and ermine, so white fur kind of. And it was more like a dress. I mean, more like a long coat.
Yes.
Right? So it's a little bit different. The Anglo Santa usually has pants and kind of a tunic.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was in between a Saint Nicolas and a Father Christmas Eve.
Exactly. It was that sort of in-between thing. He had the long, like, bishop-like robes,
Okay.
but
Oh.
not the pointy hat,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? So kind of a little bit in between, like,
Yeah, that was funny.
And we put our shoes, one shoe in front of the tree,
Okay.
and no stockings.
Mm-hmm.
Do they do stockings in the Northeast?
No, we don't. I mean, that would be a shoe as well.
Yeah, it's a shoe as well. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you put your shoe, and really the shoe is not used for what Americans would call stuffers, stocking stuffers, but it's just Père Noël would make a pile of your gifts and then put the shoe on top, and that means that's your pile.
Yes. That was your personal effect, the shoe.
That's right. So Père Noël is very well organized.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting to see the changes in tradition. I mean, we say, well, this is tradition, but traditions, they evolve.
Of course.
And I mean, in the northeast of France, especially in Lorraine, I mean, Saint Nicolas is still a big thing over there. I mean, he would visit schools. He would visit. I mean, there would be something organized in the company or at work with the children of the workers. They would be Saint Nicolas would be parading in the streets of towns.
Wow.
So I mean, the children of Lorraine actually they are double blessed because they get two Saint Nicolas and then another gift for the Christmas.
Yes, that's kind of. Yeah, so, nice. I wish I had been raised there. That's even better.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things to say about the Christmas traditions in France. I mean, there's also the Réveillon. I mean, the big dinner French people they share with their family on the 24th of December.
Right.
And in Australia and also in England, I mean, that's something you do. I mean, the big celebration is on the 25th. It's on Christmas Day.
Right.
You may do something interesting. I mean, something quite good on the 24th on Christmas Eve, but not big dinner. But that's what we do in France.
Right. And the big dinner is on the 24th.
Yes.
Le Réveillon de Noël.
Le Réveillon. So it continues for up to 6 hours, and it's very, very long.
So you get together with family typically, and you will have this nice big meal, which will almost always include oysters.
Yes.
Foie gras, truffles, all sorts of really good festive foods.
Yes.
In my family, we didn't make it a sit-down dinner. It was more like a apéritif dînatoire. So we would bring out, let's bring out the oysters, and then half an hour later, you bring out the foie gras, and then you bring out the salmon, and you bring out all the different courses.
Similar to my family. Yeah, in my family it was the same.
Yeah, it's not like we made a big turkey or something.
Yes,
that might be Christmas Day, right? You might have another big celebration on Christmas Day, but
some French families they would do it. They would do it over the top, so there would be too much food on the plate, and that would be the big thing on Christmas Eve, and then they're not hungry anymore for Christmas Day.
Right.
So, but you spend a lot of money on Christmas Eve, on the dinner of Christmas Eve, much more in France than on Christmas Day.
Yes,
and that's the difference. And then it's like, when do you open the presents? Do you open the presents after midnight on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning on Christmas morning?
Yes, that's a good question. What do you do?
Well, now we've got the little daughter. I think we're going to wait for the 25th. Because otherwise she might be too excited and don't want to go to bed. So, Christmas Eve. So we'll probably wait for Christmas Day and make that the family tradition.
Right.
But when we didn't have her in the family, we'll probably do it on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, we did Christmas Eve too in my family because the adults were interested in eating and drinking. But the kids, which, once you've had a little bit, you're done. You want to play with the toys.
Yes.
And that's the one night we got to stay up I mean, we'd fall asleep playing with the toys, pretty much. So we would, in my family anyway, I have a brother who plays the piano really well. And so he would we'd go into the room where the piano was, and we'd have to sing at the top of our lungs to get Santa to come and hear us. And once we had sung a couple of songs, probably pretty badly, because the point was to yell. Then we go and discover the gifts at the foot of the tree. So it was magical. I mean, I still have warm feelings for that, but today we can't do that because we all get together from different parts of the city, and we all want to do our own thing on the 24th, and then we get together on the 25th.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. It's evolving. It's evolving.
Yes, it is. Definitely.
It used to be more of a 24th, and now the focus is kind of shifting slowly towards the 25th, although we still do both. So
yeah. So you are lots of things to say about Christmas in France.
Yes, lots of wonderful things happening at Christmas in France. We've been talking for an hour, my friend.
Yes.
we are talkative. We're talkative. I knew.
Well, yeah. I mean, as I say, I mean, it's very vast. I mean, it's a vast subject. I mean, we could talk for days and days and days about Christmas.
Okay, well, let's remind everybody where they can find your website and where they can hire you if they want to do a tour with you or do French lessons with you. Mm-hmm. That's FrenchMoments.eu.
That's right.
And for your tours, you had walking
tours. So it's ParisWalkingTours.fr.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, well, now all I have to do is wish you a wonderful, wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, as we say in French, Joyeux Noël.
Joyeux Noël. and we typically add Bonne Année, but later.
Yeah, later. That's only the year of December. So
that's right. Do you send Christmas cards in your family? Is that something you do?
Yeah, we do, but we're not as we probably don't send the same as the English or the Australian do.
Exactly,
it's not the same tradition with exchanging votes. And we'll do it for New Year's Eve, or for New Year, sorry. Exactly. And we have until the end of January to do it, so we've got a bit of time.
That's right. That's a big difference too, as you do les vœux de la nouvelle année, so New Year wishes. That's when you send a card or a note or something to family and friends, and not Christmas. The English will start sending Christmas cards in early December.
Yes,
and the French will do it early January.
January with the New Year's wishes. Yeah.
So that's another big cultural difference.
Yes, different. Yeah.
But, you could do both if you like.
Well, if you have time. Or send emails as well. Some very fun and fun things that you can do online as well with electronic votes. They are not the same, but.
Yeah, but it's always, I always get a little bit overwhelmed by how many things you need to do in a short amount of time at Christmas time, because you really want to make it perfect, right? You really want to put a lot of time. But, and sometimes I sacrifice the letter or the card, but when I get letters or cards from people, it's always really nice. I like that. I like getting them, so I should write them more faithfully. That's what I'm saying.
You have to go back to tradition there.
I think we need to go back to the tradition, because they were good traditions. It's better than getting an email. I mean, you get emails every day, all day.
So it's more special as well. I mean, an email is not special.
It sure is. All right. Well, thank you very much, Pierre. It has been very fun talking to you. I've learned a few things. You've definitely given me the desire to go to Strasbourg. I can't do it this year because this year we're fully booked for the Christmas holidays. But next year, I'll put it on the calendar. I need to do that.
That's all right. Well, thank you so much, Annie, for having me on your show.
Okay, my pleasure. It's always fun to talk to somebody who's passionate and knows interesting stuff about France. So, who knows? I might ask you to come again to talk about something else.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Pierre.
Okay. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Bye. If Join Us in France makes your life happier and your trip planning easier, let us know by joining the mailing list, subscribing to the podcast, reviewing the show on iTunes, sharing status updates on Facebook, or sending in a donation. Merci beaucoup!